Hello guys and welcome to Diving into Finance. Today I'm joined by our very own Carl Wicks, our Regional Director for Finance in London. How the devil are you?
You're very well, thank you very much. What an honour it is to do my very first podcast with...
We're both like leaning forwards every time, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How's life?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, loving life. I think, lots of things going on good inside and outside of my working life, my working career.
What a start to a podcast.
What a start, yeah.
Loving
I don't know why I'm nervous.
Life,
you think
life and living. Well, Carl's come in today. Like I said, he heads up our division in London. He's been doing finance for a number of years now. We've actually worked together for far too many years. But, this episode kind of wanted to discuss what happened last year in finance, what's happening this year in finance, how London's going on. It's not going down. But yeah, let's get started.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. No, I think, I really wanted to talk about a subject that I probably know most about because, all I do day in, day out is speak to people in finance. So, like last year, obviously, lots of changes, but people returning back from COVID and, I think there was a bit of uncertainty about how people were going to slowly be able to encourage their staff to come back to the office. And it's that back and forth of trying to sell the benefits of people returning back to the office, but not necessarily losing, the family life that they're used to.
I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty bored of seeing. Have you seen the amount of polls hybrid working?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
fully remote. It's like, well, obviously a lot of people like fully remote. It's kind of obvious. But what are you kind of seeing this year? Are you seeing like more and more clients wanting people to return, or are you kind of seeing it fully? I'm going to go on this subject, which has been on LinkedIn forever.
Yeah, I think, you literally can't go online on LinkedIn without somebody saying how great it is to work 5 days a week from home. And as much as I love my family life, I actually love coming into the office. I'm not just saying that because he's my boss, by the way. I just love it. Please help. Said SOS. No, but joking aside, I think that... obviously there's benefits for working from home. Everybody knows that, not having to travel every day in and, the commute for a lot of people, particularly in London when the trains are actually running on time, even then they can be bloody stressful. So I do understand why people want to return to it.
This week, aren't there?
There's strikes every week, isn't there? I'm very much, obviously I can see why people want to get some form of return back to work policy. So trying to get people's, the culture and the camaraderie of the office. I had one client that I mentioned was trying to say that, the salaries they pay isn't very good. And yes, they do work 5 days a week in the office, but his banter is so good.
Whenever we speak to the clients, we're always wondering what can we sell on banters.
Yeah, I don't really think you can put Steve's jokes or Gwyneth's secret cake recipe as really the way of getting people back into the office. But obviously, going back to what I was saying, there's pros and cons. But I think, more and more organisations now want to see that return to the office.
I think hybrid, definitely. I think one of the things a lot of companies have obviously seen is the fact that they lose quite a lot of culture. You don't really have a culture if you're all keyboard warriors in the background. In my personal opinion, I think, especially if you're first getting into finance, like imagine you've just come fresh out of uni, you're studying your ACCA, CIMA, ACA, whatever it might be, and then you're like, brilliant, there's your laptop. Do you want to work in your cupboard 5 days a week? Because the social element, like, I'm not going to lie, when I left university, work was where I was socialising. I moved away from a lot of my friends. I moved away from, where I was at university. I think that's quite a key element. I mean, how are you finding more at the junior level? I know that's not your particular, area of expertise, but people in your team are constantly hiring for these. Like,
Well, I think that's the point. Like, you hit the nail on the head. There's loads of people that will come out of university and they'll be staying with their family or a professional house share. So they're literally working on the same kitchen table as people cooking their breakfast or lunch. I even have it in my household where the days I am working remote, my other half will be in my office or our office, and I'll be on the kitchen, but she'll come down when I'm in the middle of a meeting and she'll be, the kettle will be going off, and it's not the most professional environment. So I think for the younger generation, it's actually it's great for them to want, most of them want to actually go into the office, to actually be in front of their colleagues, to go and, go out on lunch or go out for drinks in the evening. That's part of the feeling of returning back to work.
I agree, it's not for everyone. I think hybrids, a lot of people realise that maybe being in the office 5 days a week right, doesn't work. And I agree when I speak to a lot of finance professionals that, maybe done it for 20, 30 years, going into the office for culture probably is not on their agenda, but being able to do the same work from home and also be able to spend time with their family, that's obviously key. Now, getting away from that subject that pretty much every recruiter's marketed online consistently, I'm pretty sure we've actually marketed it, so we'll move away from that. In terms of market changes then, looking at last year, looking at this year, in terms of like salaries or some big change, what have you seen as a whole in London? And then again, we're being very specific to London here. We're not talking about Thames Valley. We're not talking about our northern division. What are you seeing in London?
Yeah, obviously, it goes back to the subject we were talking about earlier. If the business can't, you're right, he's killed himself on water. I am medically trained, though. I just want that to go on note as well. I'm putting my CV out there. I am medically trained, so I can perform CPR if necessary, and do the Heimlich. But yeah, sorry. So I'd say that if you're an organisation and you can't offer candidates remote working, like you can't look after your staff in that way because you need them in the office 5 days, then you have to look at like your salary banding. And I think it's fair to say the cost of living's gone up so much over the last 12 months, and everything's gone up, and as a result, you have to look at your salaries. And I think what a lot of organisations do wrong is when they're employing people externally, the salaries that they're actually offer is significantly higher than some of their assets that they've already got working for them. So, as much as businesses hate doing this, they really do need to do like salary reviews, get some market insight from, recruiters like us or, consultancies or, there's plenty of different ways of being able to get this information just to prevent them from losing people to their competitors that are paying a lot more. But yeah,
just going to plug our salary guide. It's on www.into-consult.com. Just fill in your details and we'll send one over. But no, I agree. I think reviewing your salary and what you're paying your staff against your competitors is so key.
Definitely.
Like sometimes, and I think that's something that we kind of pride ourselves on, is the fact that when a client calls us up I suppose a candidate calls us up, and their expectations are so far removed from what their competitors or what other people in that market is, we're being honest. I think that's really important. It's not just going like, cool, yeah, we want a fully qualified ACA person for 45k, 5 days in the office, in Mayfair. Ideally, they're going to be working ridiculous hours and they can never see their kids. Who have you got? It's unrealistic.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think, candidates, drivers have changed since COVID. It was a while ago, but it wasn't that far away, really. And I think, you're seeing a lot of, candidates kind of taking the steer. It was before COVID, it was a very client-driven market. They could kind of push candidates around. And I think, now it's kind of a mix between, the majority is candidate-driven. Finding good quality finance professionals is challenging. How are you finding it?
It's good. I think it's probably the best it's ever been. I think the back end of last year, it was like loads of jobs and very few candidates. I think those candidates, particularly the ones with niche sets of skills, whether it's a technical accounting or a language or an industry that they know is, fairly in demand at the moment, any of those kind of specific areas, they could literally play clients off each other. So, and why wouldn't you? If you know you've got a niche set of skills, bump your salary up by 20% if you think you can. But that's swung slightly now, and I think moving into we're in March now, we're starting to see a really good balance of a good number of jobs and some good candidates. But the reality is everyone is hiring. People are fully aware that the cost of living's gone up now, so salaries are going up. People's salaries are, going up silly amounts. One thing I've learned in recruitment, so I've been doing finance recruitment now for 4 years, and everyone's salary always jumps up, at a lower level by $5,000. It's never 500 quid or $1,000. It's always yeah, do you know what? It's been 6 months. Give me another five grand. It's like, who's come up with that idea?
That is, to be fair, they start looking at inflation, and a lot of that I think was brought on by COVID, right? Like let's be honest, a lot of clients sacked a large number of staff, right? And then all of a sudden, the market starts picking up. There's more confidence within there. Everyone starts hiring for the same positions, and let's be honest, a lot of the people they're hiring for are the people that they let go. Now, those people are getting so many offers, they're getting counter offers that increase it, and then the market activity from a client perspective meant that those salaries just kept going up and up. And then when you put in living costs and you put in the fact that now people are harder to get them to move on from jobs because they're already getting financially rewarded, you know, their company committed to them during COVID and stuff. That means that salaries got to push up. And if you're going to leave, you're not going to go like, I'd like 500 quid more.
No, it's fair. It is fair. But I'd say like now recently qualified accountant in London wants 55k. You know, it's very...
Well, I'd say it's probably a minimum.
Bare minimum that is, yeah. So, but you know, 6 months ago, you're looking at maybe 50, you know, and then you'd be able to get an ACA first-time mover out of the, you know, one of the top practice firms for like, you know, 45, 46k. Maybe it was just slim chance, but it does happen. And I think, you know, one of the biggest things I try to do as a recruiter when I'm speaking to clients is you have to review the salaries of your best assets, because they might not be looking and the CVs might not be out there, but as recruiters, you know, headhunters or whatever you want to call us, you're constantly going after passive candidates because there isn't a huge pool of candidates that are constantly looking. So you end up targeting candidates that are quite happy where they are. But the reality is they might not be aware of how much they're actually worth because they don't look on the market. But, you know, unfortunately for you, there are recruiters that are making those assets or your assets aware of how much value that they can offer to one of your competitors. And I think that's when you have that real difficult discussion where the guy or lady hands in their notice, and then you start having those discussions about the salaries with them. And I think, you know, it's always a losing battle is when you're being reactive because they're going to leave and you're like, oh crap, all right, we'll match the salary. It's like, it's too late.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's something that we've seen a lot of, isn't it? Counter offers. And again,
the dreaded counter offer.
Yeah, true. God, how many blogs? But yeah, like we are being generalists here. We're saying first-time movers, etc., and we're not going into specifics around reporting or commercial or specific IFRS or anything like that. But yeah, I'd agree with you. I think it's a constant challenge right now, like in terms of counter offers. And you know, I always find it interesting when clients are like, "Oh, you were going to leave, were you? Have an extra 10 grand." It's like, well, but you knew I wanted more money because I've already gone through the salary review, or you knew I wanted more flexibility. Now you're prepared.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you're trying to like obviously discuss that with candidates, sometimes, you know, that carrot of the devil you know isn't as bad as the devil you don't. And I think, you know, they need to take into consideration, you know, why am I staying here? If I'm not valued, am I going to be valued again, or do I have to interview again and get offered again in order for me to actually get that position?
True.
In terms of, I'm quite interested in getting into like some more specifics, like in terms of, you know, maybe commercial finance in London right now.
What do you want to know?
Commercial stuff. But like, I mean, like that market right now. Like,
it's a sexy part of finance, isn't it? That's what I always say. It's the sexiest part. But
why is it so sexy?
Do you know what? Right. Because I looked after the reporting market for ages, and everyone wants ACA first-time movers. So you get really excited about booking in some time to finally get some, you know, time to discuss the reporting jobs you've got with ACAs. And the amount of them that they'd say within, you know, the first minute to 2 minutes that they're not even interested in doing reporting anymore. They want to get into commercial finance because it just seems to be more attractive. Obviously, not everyone wants to do backdated reporting. Some people are really into the forward-looking side and being involved in financial modelling or mergers and acquisitions or, you know, all these different...
Why do you think they are more interested in commercial?
Bloody hell, I wish I knew, Luke. I wish I knew. I don't know. I mean, to be fair...
I hit the nail on the head. The sexier side, right? It's like when you get to go to a business, analyse the data, explain to non-financial stakeholders where they're going wrong and what changes they can make to greater impact the business. You're not just crunching numbers. And I think sometimes people view reporting as number crunchers, right?
Well, yeah, I can understand it can be a bit monotonous. I think also the data visualization piece that everybody likes is presenting those numbers in a sexy graph, or I'm using the word sexy a lot, aren't I? I've just noticed.
You have to bleep that out.
If I've offended anybody, I do apologise. But no, what I would say is that, commercial finance always has seemed to be a more attractive prospect for a large majority of people that are coming through the ranks that maybe have done statutory reporting and have got that knowledge and really understand the numbers. And now what they want to do is be involved in actually the presentation of those numbers to the relevant key stakeholders within the business, and actually be actually involved in those decisions that come because of that information they've gathered.
I think it's quite interesting when you're educating non-financial people and trying to get them to see what you're doing is more of a carrot rather than a stick, rather than you always giving the bad news. It's about actually educating about how finance can actually impact decisions to increase revenue, net profit, or actually coming up with new avenues of future revenue.
Luke loves a dashboard as well. I just want to add, he loves analytics. I mean, I've seen all sorts of reports come out from this man. But yeah, I mean, I get they are. Of course, they are. One more plug that.
But I think when you break it down as well, it's quite interesting that if you're ACA, you haven't actually ever produced a full set of accounts, have you? You've audited a lot, or you've done different avenues within a practice. But to actually get to, if you are ambitious, you want to be like a CFO or an FD, you have to be able to have done the reporting and the commercial side. And I think, sometimes actually looking at, well, cool, maybe either commercial's not the thing I really want to get into, or is reporting. But in order to get to that senior leadership, you need skills in both.
Yeah, agreed. A lot of the time when I'm speaking to like ACA Big Four first-time movers, I'm like, but you haven't ever prepared, a stat account.
Not in that tone. That's quite.
You haven't done this, all right? No, but obviously, how are you going to move in? How are you going to move into industry for the first time, where all you've done is review the accounts and obviously led on audits and stuff like that, but you've never actually been on the other side of the fence. So to go straight from that, to not even want to go into reporting and let a client utilise the reporting knowledge that you've gained, to go straight into commercial finance, for me is it's like wanting to be a plumber, but all you've done in your career is building, but just going on site and going, do you mind if I play around with those pipes? It's like, well, have you ever played around with the pipes before? Well, no, I haven't, but I have done some building work. Okay, well, you can do some building work for us and we'll teach you some plumbing. No, I just want to be a plumber.
Say, if you've been a plumber all your life and you try and do plumbing?
That would probably be a bit easier, to be fair. But is that, I use that analogy because it is ridiculous to think that sometimes people come straight out of audit and just want to get as far away from what they've been doing for the last 4 years. And don't get me wrong, it's hugely credible to get that qualification to be working in a Big Four. So shout out to any of the audit professionals, because it is grueling. I think that's why people love them so much, is because it's such long hours, constantly getting thrown in the deep end, constantly given new tasks and plates to spin and things like that.
Hours they have to do.
And that's why everybody loves. That's why everybody loves them.
That's a graft.
They're like, they're gonna kick a few of our other, staff up the backside. So I will always find commercial finance seems to be the areas that a lot of people want to be involved in. And when you're speaking to people, it's like, cool, what am I doing actually to help influence change and decision making? And can I be in the room where it happens?
But I mean, from that perspective, obviously, like we're at the end of this quarter, we just spoke about reporting and commercial finance. We're moving forwards now to Q2. Got a few more Qs to go.
Yeah,
it's actually mad.
3 more.
It's actually March, to be fair. But I mean, where are you? Like, what are you seeing in terms of salaries? You said obviously salaries have been rising, not at the same rate as inflation, but they have been rising. Surely, at some point, they've got to settle.
Well, yeah, hopefully, because I don't know where it will ever end. Then all of my team will start coming to me with their salary reviews. We are doing some benchmarking right now. We're not, but no. Joking aside, what I would say is that salary isn't the top of everyone's, the forefront of everyone's tick list.
No, I'm not saying it is. I just think it's like important with what's going on. Like you've said it's risen.
I can't imagine it can't keep going. It literally can't. I know the cost of living is increased, but I'm hoping it's going to plateau a bit. Mortgage rates and things like that hopefully don't continue on the same trajectory, and hopefully we start dropping, and therefore you'd like to think that people will realise that
interest rates are dropping.
By the way, we're not mortgage advisors, so just want to be clear. If anyone's look at this, Luke's crazymortgage.com.
No, I agree with you. I mean, like from speaking to the guys in Thames Valley and up in the north, one of the comments we've been getting is we see it plateauing. Like
I hope so.
Can only consistently go. Well, I mean, from a fee perspective, it's fantastic.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
From a candidate and client perspective, I'm already beginning to see it sort of plateau slightly, but it is still. I think it's hard to find roles, where there is niche and where there's like you've got like 3 candidates interviewing for like 5 of the same roles, and they're going to get offers from 5 of the roles. That's where you're seeing a lot of the talent disputes in terms of like a fiscal income.
Yeah.
Where do you see like? I suppose the newer stuff, like in terms of like, have you seen anything that you think clients are looking for more, where candidates can maybe upskill and look at skill sets that could help them in their careers? Obviously get the progression that they want to. Yeah, no.
To be fair, is whenever we take kind of job specs from clients, and we always ask, what would really stand out on you, and it's actually the soft skills, which I think a lot of people don't necessarily focus on as much. So you could be the best technical finance professional on the planet, but if you're perhaps not necessarily the best in social situations, or being able to actually hold your own when describing what you're good at, or can hold your own in a meeting, with whether it's an interview or just in a social situation, I think that's probably an area where I think more and more clients want now. They don't want head down accountants where you're literally just coding into the darkness. Whether you're in commercial finance or transactional or accounting, they want people that are not fun to be around. That sounds patronising.
Someone that you can have a conversation with. And I agree, a lot of clients are focusing in on soft skills, which is sometimes interesting when the ethos is less working from the office, more working from home. But I often, sometimes I feel, bad for some of the candidates that maybe don't have the best soft skills, but are technically brilliant.
Yeah.
I think, sometimes clients are missing a trick, because
definitely,
just because you're the person doesn't interview that well, like in terms of coming across, but they've got the technical ability. Sometimes that person can be outstanding. Like interviewing is a skill, and often
definitely
we're coaching candidates on how to interview effectively and what they can get out the back of it. And that's very different from accounting. If you're great with numbers, doesn't necessarily mean that you can be great at interviewing.
And I think also it's a confidence thing. Not everybody is ridiculously bouncing off the wall confident, not necessarily just in their own ability, but just in holding a conversation. And I think that's definitely something that can take a little while for people to come out of their shell. Some of the best personalities are people that aren't always the most extrovert type of character. So obviously,
I mean, I'm crap on like Zoom and stuff. I know, like even now, like where you look, I'm like looking like, is that the camera?
Yeah, you don't want to look at yourself. You don't want to find yourself looking at yourself, or
and then there's that weird thing where you can see yourself in the bottom right corner, and then you're like, you're like looking at yourself to make sure you look alright, and then your eyes.
Jeez, I thought I had a good night's sleep last night. Look at those crow's feet.
I think I hate that. I hate Zoom. I much prefer like a face to face.
Yeah, definitely.
You can actually build and like look someone in the eyes, and they're like, oh, it's awkward when you get like assuming like, oh, they didn't get a lot of eye contact. You're like, well, that's because they weren't looking at the eye; they were trying to look at a camera. And
it's true.
That's a very different skill set.
Actually, to add to that as well, it's funny when I hear about interviews where the client doesn't put their video on. And the poor candidates are like talking to a black screen. It's like they can't judge any character, any characteristics that person's given away.
I've had a few meetings,
body language
in the past. I'm like, sorry, is this? Are we going to switch the cameras on, or are we going to switch them off?
Yeah,
so I get
one or the other. Yeah,
both on.
Yeah, exactly.
Not yours.
It's not fair. And I've done it before. I've been in meetings before, and nobody's got the camera on, and I'm like, but I left it too late to ask, should I turn it off? So I couldn't even do it. I just had to style it out, and they never worked with me again. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I do feel for people in those kind of situations. But yeah, you can never beat a face-to-face, and it's great to see that more and more clients are inviting candidates into face-to-face, inviting recruitment partners to come in face-to-face, because if you're going to sell the culture and the environment, you need to see what the office is about. I want to see what the fuss is about that cake you're going on about, the Sue in accounts makes every week. Or no, I want to see where you guys.
I haven't been to many cake meetings.
No, to be fair, but maybe we should It's not going to help with you.
We used to send like cupcakes when we first started, like to an office. But then one candidate that we placed, we sent like a big old client, like Happy Days. We'll send like nice branded cupcakes to the office. Sent like 36 cupcakes down. I was like, oh, do you mind just sending us a photo just so we can do like some marketing around it and showcase, like the fact that we're giving you some cake. You sent us a selfie of the cakes, and I'm sorry if you're listening. And then I asked like the line managers, I was like, oh, did you enjoy the cupcakes? Like we, send them out for all placements. It was like, what cupcakes? You're taking 36 cupcakes.
Jeez.
And obviously nibbled them all.
And now he is.
Cupcake journey.
Now he weighs 400 pounds.
Probably, or he sold them. They were nice. They were branded.
Maybe he's selling the cake. Maybe a little side hustle.
That was the end of the cupcake.
The end of the cake run.
Yeah,
ran out after that.
Or like thank you cards and stuff.
Unbelievable.
Very, very different. I just thought everyone loved cake, but obviously one person loved cake too much.
Everyone it's such a recruitment thing, isn't it? To turn up with like a little bag of like goodies of everything branded, like a mug and a pen and or umbrella like payrolling companies always giving you like one of the squishy balls with that everyone ends up just flinging around the office for the next month until the managers get frustrated and take them off their hands. But I feel like I've gone a bit off subject.
Let's get away from the free gifts we give to all our clients.
Exactly.
All of them. No, I'm joking. But I suppose moving on to candidates then, like if you're going to set yourself for success, and you're looking for a new job, what would you say would be the main things they should be focusing on in 2023 moving forward, so they give themselves the best chance to get the kind of jobs that they want?
I feel I'm very much of a believer that utilise recruiters. I know we're always perceived as, we just want quick wins and, just send us your CV and we'll send it over to. But it's not. It's about actually, finding a couple of good recruitment consultants that you trust, that generally come up, that care, and actually having a proper conversation about like what your actual motivations are, what your drivers are. Are you actually motivated by money, or would it actually be more beneficial if you could start earlier and finish later,
or even the types of clients, like the industries that they work within, all those sort of drivers.
And what your motivations are in the future, like where do you see yourself? Do you want to go down an operational finance direction, or do you want to go and be a finance business partner? But like actually sit down and or meet with the recruiters virtually or in person, like spend a bit of time to really map out exactly like what you want.
Have an honest conversation as well. Like if any candidate that's very tax focused, right now we don't have that offering. Like if a client, like we turn down multiple jobs, we're looking for a tax XYZ, we're like, we literally don't have anyone doing that.
It's better recruiters,
and even candidates, when it comes to us, like that, we really don't do that market. And you'd think like, oh, we put the two together, but it's like, from that perspective, because we're not building that network. That's not one of the core areas that we're currently focused on. There's better agencies out there for tax roles.
I think it's funny how some of our competitors will do the opposite and just go, oh yeah, we'll be able to work that, or yeah, we'll be able to find you those kind of roles, and then you never hear from them again, or you never get any profiles, or if you do get them, they're not relevant to what you're looking for. So I think sometimes just being honest about, and I guess that goes back to the candidate's perspective, be honest about where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are and which areas that you are working to become better at, and you will find that you'll get much better commitment from the recruitment partners because they know exactly what you're looking for. So really value, the expertise that recruiters have, and we can then guide and recommend, based on actual factual clients or jobs that we're working.
Sometimes you have to be honest. Like, all we do day in day out is recruitment. And specifically in finance. I know where people are working in verticals within finance and people are working with verticals within verticals. That's all we do. But we're not accountants. We're not trying to pretend that we're finance professionals. If someone asked us to, reconcile a balance sheet or, do something to do with IFRS 16 or IFRS 15 revenue recognition, we wouldn't have a Scooby.
You knew it was revenue rec, though.
Yeah, I knew it was revenue rec.
You're going to start listing IFRSs now.
From that perspective, what we will be able to tell you is like how marketable your profile is, what tweaks you might need to make in order to do it, maybe where you might want to delay your search for a year or something until you have that experience in order to get to where you want to be. And I think it's about having those honest, personal conversations where you can actually add value from either a candidate or a client side.
I love that. I think also when you put candidates forward for those kind of jobs, you know that they're going to probably accept your job. They could have 3 or 4 roles that they're interviewing for, but because you know exactly what they're looking for and you know what the client's really looking for and you match that up, there's nothing more reassuring as a recruiter is knowing that they might have 3 or 4 other things going on in the background, but your role is going to be the one that they're mainly they were interested in until they got counter offered. Yeah, they got counter offered by another 20k. Shit. Oh, sorry, can I swear on this podcast?
Well, not
rubbish. But I said rubbish. Terrible. But yeah, but no, I think to go back on this year, like it's a great time at the moment. There's more jobs than ever. There's more candidates than ever. So it's a really, really good.
So did you say more candidates? What do you mean?
When I said there's more candidates, I said there's.
I'm not seeing that.
Okay. Well, let me rephrase it. I think there's more candidates than there was in 2022, and particularly the back end of 2022.
Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of people have just gotten fed up with some of their current employers. Like, if I'm honest,
I agree with that. I think some of it must be market, right? Because there was all that talk leading up to Christmas, recession.
Exactly.
Recession, no growth. And I think in November it grew by 0.1%. And there was all these things like other factors in the world, which we won't obviously discuss. But there's a lot going on, and that was at the forefront of everything, and a lot of fear and stuff like that. Do you think that's had?
Yeah, a lot of people go on social media, and now all bloody TikTok. Oh, excuse me, hit the mic. But people going on TikTok and people making those kind of using those platforms now to speak about these kind of subjects. I always thought it was just about people doing stupid dancing to some tune that's just come out. Yes, because we're old, aren't we? We're not really we're not a top ticker or a Instagrammer but what I would say is I've noticed that more people do use those platforms for work and do maybe get influenced by influence.
How do you know that more people are using it?
I'm on TikTok every night. Okay, no, I can honestly say I'm not on that platform. If anybody did want to try and find me, though, it's Kyle Wicks _. No, but yeah. I think more and more people get influenced by social media or utilise social media, and you can't go anywhere without seeing the benefits of leaving your current employer and finding somebody. And the grass isn't always greener, but I think it did make people start thinking, okay, well, now is a good time to passively look.
I think actually seeing what else is out there sometimes, and ultimately sometimes what you've got right now might be better than what's out there, Or, the culture where you are might be that good that you don't need to. But I think, if you're having those doubts, having that conversation can sometimes open up doors you didn't know were open to you. And like you said, because it is so busy, I mean, it's important to at least, have a think about it. You might think no at the end of it. But
if you never have a shot on goal, you'll never score, Luke. And I think, I don't know if that was passed down from you or from somebody in my ear, but if you don't score any of the shots you don't take, so you might as well. I know, that was Morgan Freeman-esque, wasn't it? Maybe not Morgan Freeman.
I was going to say.
I was going to try and do a Morgan Freeman impression there.
So, I suppose to end this then, is there anything else you want to kind of discuss that you think is important for people to know about London specifically moving forwards into 2023?
It's a good, it just comes down to the fact that it's a bloody good time at the moment to be in finance. I think that people need finance more than ever at the moment, and that's across the board. We're not seeing that it's just the C-suites or the people in the transaction, the boiler room of finance that are getting all the jobs. I think it's across the board. So if you are actively active in finance, it's a good time to be looking. So
I mean, I've been in finance for a while now, and to be honest with you, if you're studying right now, you're in such a good position for when you qualify.
Definitely.
Such a good position. Like if you went back, 4 or 5 years ago, the opportunity you had then is so much less than what the opportunity
you're almost
is now.
Pigeonholed into which direction you're going to go. Whilst now, I think people are branching out into various different options. I think if my takeaway to employers are definitely review the salaries that you're currently paying your candidates, and if you can't afford to raise the salaries in accordance to the way that the market's moving, then you need to look at being more flexible. If you can't offer remote work, and don't have to be fully remote, but if you can offer a couple of days or just show that flexibility, let people come in earlier, let them leave earlier. Do you know what I mean? Anything that's going to help with the school runs, these are going to be the way you'll be able to retain staff, not just this year.
Understand what your USP is. Why is someone joining your business? And if you can't think of, within 30 seconds, a couple of reasons why someone would want to join your business, then really evaluate the package, the culture, or why are you there? What is the purpose? Why would someone want to join? And then think about how you can make that better to attract more people.
Definitely.
So if someone wanted to get in touch with London and find out what finance roles were available, or give us a few jobs, what's the contact details for you? How do they get in touch? So
you can call me on 0203 983 6590. That's no, I'm not going to do it again. But no, obviously, do get in contact with any of my team. I'm sure we'll put the number at the bottom of this, but I'll read it out again because Luke's staring at me. 0203 983 6590. That's the but please, what I would say is that it's really good at the moment out there, and I hope it continues on the same pattern. We're as busier than ever. I think everyone's in really good spirits. I think I'm speaking to a lot of clients and candidates that all seem to be as stressed as they normally are, but not I think
very confident. I mean, there's confidence from both sides. Candidates are very confident that if they do not get that job or it doesn't align, they can get another one. And I think clients are also in a similar boat. They're not right for us, which is always interesting when both sides of the table are quite confident in their decision making, which makes it easier for us to actually read between the lines of whether the candidate will accept, whether the client will put an offer, and that makes our lives a little bit easier, other than the 30 grand counter offer, which is always
down those bloody counter offers. But no, it's great, and long may that continue. And thanks for inviting me on the podcast, mate.
Well, that's right. You sat pretty close to me, and no one else to bring in.
Brilliant.
No, I'm joking, but really appreciate you guys' time. As mentioned, this is another episode of Diving into Finance. Tune in next week for...
What do we know what it is?
No.
All right. Awesome.
I don't like finance. We don't know that much about finance. I can't talk about it.
It's recording, Luke.
1,
2.
Okay,
22.
Let me just make sure that's worked.
I thought that was brilliant for our first podcast. I thought we did well. Why you've ruined it now. We'll go again. Hello guys and welcome to Diving into Finance. Today I am joined by our very own Mr. Kyle Wicks.
You saw again, sorry. Sorry.
You know, in the room where it happens.
That little noise really threw me off there.
What's that noise?
That memory card is full.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Memory cards.
Good?
Yeah.
Alright.
Love that.
Lovely. You did start off a bit nervous, didn't you?
I did a bit, yeah.
There was a few technical issues with the camera, but that's fine.
Oh, we can just edit. Just every time there's a technical.
Do you know what you
Well,
could do?
I filmed on my phone.
Do you know what would be really awesome if you could be really creative? You know what they do with the Carl Pilkington thing? Just start drawing